All right, so let's start this broadcast with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. And this is something that is going to be a shot in the arm for a lot of Donald Trump supporters, because the former American president, Donald Trump's Twitter account has been reinstated. This after Twitter's new owner, Elon Musk, ran a poll in which he asked people to vote whether Donald Trump's Twitter handle should be reinstated or not. And very narrowly, people voted to reinstate the account, which is what Twitter has now done. Take a look at this report.
At Real Donald Trump is back on Twitter. The platform's new owner, Elon Musk, announced late on Saturday he was lifting the ban on Trump's account despite the former U.S. president snubbing it earlier in the day.
Here we're getting a big vote to also go back on Twitter. I don't see it because I don't see any reason for it.
Trump's comments came as some 15 million Twitter users voted in a poll organized by Musk, with 51.8% voting in favor of reinstating his account. After the results were announced, Musk tweeted, "The people have spoken." Twitter banned Trump in January 2021 for inciting violence following the U.S. Capitol attack. Trump then had his own Truth Social app developed and made that his main source of direct communication with his followers. Speaking via video link at a Republican Jewish coalition meeting earlier on Saturday, Trump said he believed his platform had better engagement than Twitter and would stick with it.
They have a lot of problems at Twitter. You see what's going on. It may make it, it may not make it, but the problems are incredible. The engagements are negative, and you have a lot of bots and you have a lot of fake accounts, which I think they should get on. But Truth Social has taken the place for a lot of people, and I don't see them going back onto Twitter.
Twitter did not respond to a request for comment. Musk had first said in May he planned to reverse the ban on Trump, but afterwards sought to ease advertisers' concerns by saying he would set up a content moderation council composed of people with widely diverse viewpoints. Musk said no account would be reinstated before the council convened and until there was a clear process for doing so. There has been no new information about the council or process. Musk on Saturday tweeted, "New Twitter policy is freedom of speech but not freedom of reach," saying users would not find hate tweets unless they specifically seek them out.
All right, now to discuss more on this important story, we're being joined by Mr. Michael Tracey, who's a journalist who's joining us live from New York. Now, Mr. Tracey, this is a story that is going to do the rounds for a fair bit of time in the days to come on Twitter, and the manner in which Twitter will go about regulating its content. Now, the manner in which Donald Trump's account has in fact been reinstated is after a poll that Elon Musk ran on his Twitter handle. Do you think this is the right way of going about and deciding what kind of content should be allowed on the platform?
Well, the decision to ban Trump in the first place in January of 2021 was completely arbitrary to begin with. There was never really any coherent, generalizable criteria that was supposedly the reason why Trump was banned. So it's not surprising that with the ban now having eventually been reversed, that process was undertaken through a similarly arbitrary set of criteria, meaning the whim apparently of Elon Musk, and then him putting out a poll which is, dubious in how reliable you can really take it to be, given the preponderance of, potentially bot-like accounts, participating in this poll. But just think back to 2021, January, when Trump was initially banned. This was after a furor of several days in the wake of the January 6th incident at the Capitol that Trump was accused of inciting or playing a major role in precipitating, meaning the riot where that temporarily delayed the certification of electoral college votes that day. And yes, Trump clearly galvanized his followers to some degree to show up at the Capitol that day, and then some did take rash and even violent action. But it's not like there was any kind of cogent case presented for why it is that particular alleged wrongdoing on Trump's part ought to have warranted banishing him from the platform. I mean, just this past week, you had Ukraine officials asserting as fact that Russia had deliberately targeted Poland in a missile strike.
Right.
And if that were actually true, that could have led to something approximating World War III. And yet no one would ever dream of banning those Ukraine officials for tweeting out the incendiary claims.
Mr. Tracy, I get your point. I get your
for...
point. I need to interject there. I get the point that you're making. You're saying that the manner in which Donald Trump was banned was completely arbitrary, and the manner in which his account has now been reinstated is also very arbitrary. But the question, of course, is this. If Elon Musk had said that, according to the new rules that he has now brought about within the organization on the issue of freedom of speech, he thought that the suspension of Donald Trump's account was arbitrary and therefore it was being reversed, that would have been different. The way he's actually done it, some would say, was effectively to play to the galleries, to start a Twitter poll, and on basis of that, he's now reinstated it. Do you think that is problematic?
Well, I think ideally you might prefer to have some sort of set of reasons, established criteria for issues related to the governance of Twitter, such as when does an account get reinstated or when does it get banned? Something so people could kind of assess these questions in relation to neutral kind of pre-existing criteria that have been promulgated. Now, Elon Musk bought the company himself. He then brought it private. It's no longer publicly. So it's up to his discretion, I guess, to do as he pleases. Now, that's not probably what everyone would hope for in terms of the best way to govern a company, but that's basically what the situation is. And
in which Elon Musk works.
Mr.
Tracy, we are short of time, but I want to ask you a quick question. Now, the fact is Donald Trump has already got his own social media site. It goes by the name Truth Social. He has said that he may not wish to come back to Twitter. Do you think, now that his ban has been lifted, Donald Trump would want to come back to Twitter again?
Well, Twitter was actually remarkably effective for Trump as a tool that enabled him to gain the political momentum that he did in the 2016 presidential race, basically circumventing the traditional media, dictating daily news cycles. So, and even into his presidency, it was a very powerful amplification force for him. So you'd think that he would want, in some sense, to come back on Twitter, given that he was a daily and passionate user. But now he does have a financial stake in this alternative Twitter-like platform. So he might have certain, contractual obligations that would preclude him from going back to Twitter. It's hard to say exactly. But if he actually is serious about this new presidential campaign that he announced just a few days ago, and by all accounts he probably is, then Twitter would suit his purposes just in terms of spreading his message and wielding the kind of political leverage that he previously did using the platform.
Absolutely indeed, Mr. Michael Tracy. Thank you very much indeed for joining us from New York and getting us all those insights there. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.